When she got pregnant, her husband found her very close relationship with her horse strange, especially the way the animal would hug and lick her belly. But when they found out what was in her belly, everyone was paralyzed. It was a rainy autumn morning, and Emily was in the bathroom of her farmhouse, anxiously waiting for the results of her pregnancy test. She knew that no matter what happened, things between her and Matthew, her husband, needed to change. They were going through a rough patch in their marriage, and a pregnancy could either bring them closer together or make things worse. Finally, the test revealed 2 red lines, positive. A mix of emotions flooded her mind: happiness, fear, anxiety, and hope. She was eager to share the news with her husband and prayed it would bring them together. She walked into the living room, where he was sitting on the couch reading the newspaper. The rain was hitting the windows, and the wind was blowing hard outside, creating a gloomy atmosphere in the house. She took a deep breath and held the test behind her back. "Honey, we need to talk," Emily said, trying to hide the nervousness in her voice. He put down the newspaper and looked at his wife, noticing the worried expression on her face. He sat up straight, giving her his full attention. She revealed the positive result and said, with tears in her eyes, "I'm pregnant." Surprise washed over Matthew's face, and for a few seconds, he didn't know how to react. He stayed silent, processing the news, and finally said, "Honey, I don't know what to say." His expression showed not happiness but a mix of worry and disbelief. He knew this news would change everything, but he couldn't predict if it would be for better or worse. Emily felt her heart tighten and anger bubble up inside her. She had expected a happier and more supportive reaction from her husband. "Is that how you react, Matthew? I thought you'd be happy," she said, her voice trembling and irritated. Realizing his mistake, he tried to apologize. "Honey, I'm sorry, I'm just surprised." "Of course, I'm happy, but it's a lot to take in." He tried to smooth things over, but she was already hurt and didn't accept his apologies. "Surprised? That's all you have to say? I can't believe it," she exclaimed, turning and leaving the room in tears. She went to the barn, seeking comfort in the company of her horse, Thunder. The rain was pouring down harder, and the sound of raindrops on the stable roof echoed her sadness. For days, she was anguished by the fight with Matthew, and they still hadn't talked about it, leaving the couple in a tense and uncomfortable atmosphere. Upset, she sought refuge with her horse whenever she could, spending hours riding through the farm fields, letting her thoughts and worries fade into the horizon. There seemed to be a special and increasingly intense connection between them, something Matthew couldn't understand. Meanwhile, her husband watched her drift further away each day, spending more time with the animal than trying to resolve their marital issues. He began to feel a mix of jealousy and concern, wondering why she spent so much time with Thunder and what might be going on between them. One day, after another afternoon riding the horse, Emily returned to the barn, visibly shaken and distressed. The horse, sensing her distress, approached her and embraced her with his robust and warm body. She nestled into him, crying and seeking solace in her faithful friend. The special bond between them was evident, as if the animal could feel her pain and suffering. Thunder gently rubbed his muzzle against her face, as if trying to wipe away her tears and comfort her. "My love, only you understand and protect me," she said to the horse, crying. Matthew watched the scene from a distance, regretful for being at odds with his wife and intrigued by the deep connection between her and Thunder. The horse's behavior was unusual and almost supernatural, creating a mysterious and unsettling atmosphere in the stable. Matthew noticed the intense protective look the horse had for her, as if they shared some hidden sentiment. He questioned, was his wife's pregnancy somehow linked to her enigmatic and intimate relationship with the horse? Could Thunder know something unknown to Matthew? Was there something deeper and unusual happening between them? Could this unusual and inexplicable closeness be hiding some unsettling secret, or was it just his protective instinct? Seeing that his wife was upset, Matthew recalled that Emily had always loved Thunder like no one else. She had met the horse when she was just 16 years old, living with her parents on the farm. She had witnessed the birth of the foal and since then had developed a very close and special relationship with him. Together, they shared adventures, secrets, and an unbreakable bond. To her, he was not just an animal, he was her confidant and best friend. Emily, now a 28-year-old woman with brown hair and green eyes, had always been passionate about nature and animals. She grew up on the farm and learned from an early age the importance of love and respect for living beings. Matthew, a 30-year-old tall, dark-haired man, came from a big city. He moved to the farm after marrying Emily and became a farmer. The work was demanding, but he always struggled to understand the close bond between his wife and Thunder. "Emily, how can you be so close to that horse?" Matthew would ask, curious and perplexed. She always replied that it was because she had seen him born and he understood her like no one else, which caused a certain unease in her husband. After Emily's parents passed away, they left her alone on the farm. Despite facing loneliness and grief, she married Matthew, believing that together they could overcome life's adversities. Their marriage started well. Matthew tried to adapt to farm life while Emily made efforts to include him in her daily activities. However, over time, the differences between them became more evident, and the relationship began to face difficulties. They argued frequently, increasingly rare until one day they decided that having a baby could solve their marital problems. They believed that a child would bring joy and unity to the family. However, deep down, Matthew never talked about what really bothered him, the intimate relationship between Emily and Thunder. He watched them together, feeling indignant. Why does she spend so much time with that horse and not with me? He wondered, frustrated. Not wanting to remain distant from his wife, on a sunny afternoon, the couple sat under the shade of a large tree, determined to discuss their differences and find a way to improve their relationship. "I know I'm making mistakes," Emily admitted Matthew, looking into her eyes. "I want us to be okay, you know? But we need to find a balance between us and the time you spend with Thunder because, well, I confess I feel a bit neglected." Emily was surprised and, with tears in her eyes, said, "You're right, honey. We need to spend more time together and take care of our relationship. I'm sorry for making you feel this way. I'll divide my time between you and him, I promise." The couple hugged, feeling the love and the desire to overcome the adversities they had faced. From that moment on, they decided to dedicate more time to each other and enjoy the pregnancy together, strengthening the bonds that united them. And so it went. Emily's belly grew day by day, and they attended all the initial prenatal appointments, taking care of every detail to ensure the well-being of the baby on the way. Their relationship gradually improved, and it seemed that harmony was returning to the farm. However, a shadow of mystery and unease hung over the barn because whenever Emily visited Thunder, the horse displayed increasingly unusual behavior. He would hug her as if trying to protect her and lick her belly with disturbing insistence. "What are you doing, friend?" Emily asked, intrigued. "Are you trying to tell me something?" Matthew, observing the scene from a distance as always, began to feel uncomfortable and worried again. He couldn't shake the feeling that something strange was happening between his wife and the horse. Could it have something to do with... No, what an absurd idea. "Matthew, wake up," he thought to himself. Emily's visits to the stable became a source of anxiety and uncertainty for him. Each time the horse licked her belly, he wondered if it was just a gesture of affection or if there was something darker behind that behavior. Strange thoughts kept running through his mind. Thus, the atmosphere on the farm grew tense and suspenseful. The birds seemed to sing more softly, and even the wind blew with a somber tone. The long corridors of the barn echoed with Thunder's hoofbeats, increasing Matthew's unease. "Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt your story, but I promise it'll be quick. We have a new channel called The Fabulous. It's our podcast. Yeah, you can forget about it. We tell lots of our own stories and play various roles. Why are we talking like this? I don't know, but it's a secret for now. So, follow us at the link in the video description to stay with us on this channel too. Now, let's get back to our story, right? That's it, The Fabulous." Consumed by distrust, the farmer couldn't take it anymore and decided to confront his fears by talking to Emily about his growing unease regarding the animal. He was sitting on the couch, his hands trembling and his heart racing, trying to find the courage to address that absurd topic. "Emily," Matthew began, excitedly. I've been thinking a lot about Thunder. I know it's ridiculous, but I can't stop thinking that the pregnancy, you two are always together. Well, I don't even know how to say this." She looked at him with wide eyes, visibly surprised and shocked by what he was suggesting. She remained silent for a few seconds as if trying to digest what she had just heard. But instead of confronting him directly, Emily chose to avoid the topic. "Honey, it's getting late, and I'm tired. Let's talk about this tomorrow, okay?" she said, avoiding her husband's gaze. Although Matthew wanted to insist on the matter, he felt it was something so absurd that it shouldn't even be mentioned. Even so, Emily's reaction left him scared and suspicious. In the following days, the farm's atmosphere remained tense and heavy. Matthew tried to ignore his fears, convincing himself that he was being irrational. Meanwhile, Emily avoided talking about the horse but continued to spend a lot of time with him, making her husband increasingly insecure and disturbed. However, over time, despite all the doubts and concerns, the farmer decided to set aside these crazy thoughts. He knew the idea of Thunder being responsible for... well, it was completely absurd and made no sense at all. And after discovering that the baby was fine, the couple gradually grew closer again, sharing moments of love and companionship while eagerly awaiting the arrival of their child. Although the unease regarding the horse still lingered in Matthew's mind, he chose to focus on the future and the well-being of his family. And so, the weeks passed. The couple chose not to find out the baby's gender, wanting it to be a surprise. They attended only a few prenatal appointments, as the farm was far from the city, making it impractical for them to travel there often. Additionally, Emily was confident that everything would be fine, as her mother, grandmother, and all the women of previous generations had their babies at home without regular checkups. Thus, she was firm in her decision to have her baby on the farm. However, something strange started to happen. Her belly grew much larger than normal for a human pregnancy, and Matthew couldn't contain his perplexity at this inexplicable phenomenon. In his thoughts, he questioned, "But why is her belly that size? If it were a human baby? My God, Matthew, look at what you're thinking. Wake up, that's impossible. It's impossible, right?" Months later, one day when Emily went to see Thunder, she began to feel excruciating pain, and the horse seemed even more attached to her, hugging and licking her belly incessantly. She was screaming in pain, and it didn't look like labor. Matthew ran to her and laid her down on the ground. He then noticed something moving unusually inside her belly and was horrified by his wife's agony. Without wasting time, he put her in the car and rushed to the city despite the rain and mud making it difficult to drive. "Hold on, honey, I'm going as fast as I can. Just hang on a bit longer," Matthew said, trying to keep the fear out of his voice while his wife screamed and moaned in pain. Upon arriving at the hospital, the attending doctor performed an emergency ultrasound to try to understand what was happening. As the device moved over Emily's abdomen, the couple watched the doctor's concerned expression. He examined the images on the screen and looked at the test results, shocked, biting his lower lip as if processing the information before him. At some point, he wiped the sweat from his forehead and shook his head in disbelief, whispering to himself, "How did no one see this? My God." The room was filled with an agonizing silence, broken only by the sound of the machines and Emily's heavy breathing. Impatient, Matthew asked, "Doctor, what's going on?" The doctor, still perplexed by the ultrasound, seemed to ignore them for a brief moment, continuing to whisper and think aloud, "It's not possible." Suddenly, his eyes widened at the sight of something that shouldn't be there, and he exclaimed, "My God." Quickly, he turned to them and, with an alarmed expression, said, "We need to run some additional tests immediately. Unfortunately, I also have to inform you that we'll need to call the police." The couple was petrified by the doctor's statement. "Police? What do you mean?" asked Matthew, completely confused, as strange thoughts began to fill his mind. His hands trembled, and his voice came out broken. "Doctor, please, tell us what's happening. We deserve to know," Emily said with a terrified expression, which only made her husband even more frantic inside. The doctor took a deep breath and hesitated for a moment, considering the best way to explain the situation without causing more panic. "Well, as I said, we need to run some additional tests, but from what I saw on the ultrasound, there's something very unusual and concerning. That's why we need to involve the police, as there may be legal implications." Emily, trying to hold back her tears and fear, asked in a weak voice, "And our baby? Is he okay?" The doctor looked at her sympathetically and said, "My dear, right now, I need to expedite the test so I can explain everything to you more clearly. Please wait a moment while I take the necessary steps." And so, the doctor left the room, leaving the poor couple drowning in fear, confusion, and tears. Soon, Emily underwent more tests, and after that, she returned to wait. The police arrived at the hospital shortly after, accompanied by the doctor. Matthew and Emily, anxious, awaited the explanations. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and their hearts pounded in their chests. Then, the doctor, with a serious expression, began to speak. "First, I want to inform you that Emily is not expecting one baby. She's expecting 3 babies. No one noticed this in the previous ultrasounds because it wasn't as visible early in the pregnancy, and since you didn't come to more appointments, well, we had no way of imagining this would happen." The couple looked at each other, still not fully understanding what was happening, and the doctor continued, "But now, with her belly so large, we can clearly see that they are triplets. The concern is that the prenatal care was not conducted considering 3 babies, only 1. However, the tests show that fortunately, all of them are fine." They felt a mix of relief and amazement at the revelation. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, while Matthew searched for words to express his surprise. "So, we're having triplets?" However, before they could fully grasp the news, the police officer intervened, bringing an additional concern. "The other issue here," he said in a firm and tense voice, "during the tests, we found an electronic device, a chip implanted in Emily's abdomen. We believe it was placed by someone connected to a criminal gang we've been investigating for some time. We need to take you to the station to identify some suspects if you don't mind." Shocked and worried, Matthew agreed to go to the station while his wife stayed at the hospital, receiving care and undergoing further tests for the new babies. At the station, Matthew was confronted with a series of suspects, and to his astonishment, he recognized a woman who had been one of the nurses attending to his wife early in the pregnancy. The police revealed that the nurse was part of a gang and involved in illegal activities, including implanting the chip in Emily. The chip was part of a sinister plan serving as a GPS tracker and monitoring device, allowing the gang to follow Emily's every move and possibly Matthew's as well. The goal was to use the collected information to blackmail the couple or even kidnap Emily, demanding a high ransom for her release. The nurse was arrested, and the couple began to understand the truth behind the bizarre situation they had experienced. It was likely that Thunder, the horse, knew something was wrong with Emily's belly and was trying, in his way, to protect and alert her. The chip was removed from Emily, and as the investigations progressed, the couple grew even closer. They found strength in each other to face the challenges and uncertainties this situation presented. The news spread like wildfire among friends and family, and everyone rallied to help. The farm filled with love, support, and joy as everyone united to face this new chapter in their lives. Thunder, the loyal and protective horse, continued to watch over Emily's pregnancy. The animal seemed to sense that she needed extra care and attention and never left her side. Now, this connection brought comfort and peace to Matthew, who knew the horse just wanted to protect his wife. After weeks of investigation, the police managed to dismantle the gang, ensuring the safety of Matthew, Emily, and their future children. The gang was tried and convicted, and the couple could finally breathe a sigh of relief, knowing they were protected. The triplets came into the world surrounded by love and care. The family, now larger and more united, was ready to live happily and joyfully. And the horse, who had been his owner's guardian throughout the pregnancy, proudly took on his new role, protector of the little triplets, Lucas, Alex, and Louisa, who had just been born. What do you think of this story? Do you think they acted right? Leave your comment below to know your opinion, it is very important to us. If you like this exciting story, help us by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Thank you very much for watching us and see you in the next story.